Good day to you all beautiful people and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Decency Apparel. If this is the first time you're coming across this channel or seeing my face, you are welcome, and please do well to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell beside it so that you will be the very first person to get notified whenever I post a new video. Welcome to the family, and to my returning subscriber, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So on today's tutorial, we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful outfit you are seeing right here on the screen. Is a two bustier with a sleeve that is joined from the front to the back and a pleated design in front. Trust me, I made it in such a simplified way that if you watch it from the beginning to the end, you'll be able to make something more beautiful than this for yourself. Trust me. And I drafted it, cut it, and made it. You know how we do it in Decency Apparel. We show full working. So without much further ado, let's just dive right into the video. Oh yeah, let's go. Here I'm done marking all my basic bodies. I'm going to explain all the line that I marked. From this point to this point is my shoulder. My shoulder is 16 divided by 2 is 8. I marked 8 there. Then after that, I came down by 1 inch to get the shoulder slant. That is what I'm just showing you right now. Then for the neckline, I used 3 for the neck depth and 3 for the neck width. Just 3 by 3. That is the basic neckline. And for you to know from that shoulder slant, for you to know what you measure to get your chest line, you measure your round bust divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. And after dividing my round bust by 6 inches and adding 1.5, I got 8, and that is what I marked from that 1 inch slant to that chest line. That is what I marked there, and that becomes my chest line. Next is from the shoulder to 10 inches. Here is her nipple point, and from shoulder to 13.5 inches is her under bust. Then from the shoulder to the waist length, that 17 inches is her waist length. This is all the lines that I marked. From the shoulder to 10 inches, her nipple point. From the shoulder to 13.5, her under bust. And from the shoulder to 17 inches is her waist length. That is all the lines that I have marked. Chest line, nipple point, under bust, and waist length. The next thing to mark right now is the bust span. What bust span simply means is the distance from one nipple to the other. In this case, my client's bust span is 7, and 7 divided by 2 is 3.5, and is assumed that our pattern is being folded into 2. So we are going to divide her bust span into 2. I'm not going to mark 3.5. I'm going to mark 4 inches because I want to add the sewing allowance that we will use to join the center and the side. So I'm marking 4 inches on the chest line, on the nipple point, on the under bust line, and on the waist line. Then after marking all the points, I'm going to use a straight ruler and connect all the points with a straight line from the chest to the nipple, under bust, and to the waist length, just like so. Then after that, the next is to mark out my darts. From the center front on the under bust line, I'm going to mark out 1 inch on the center front at the under bust line. I marked 1 inch. Then on the waist line on the center front, I'm going to mark the same 1 inch. Then at the side front on the under bust line, I'm going to mark 1.5 inches at the side front of the under bust. Then on the side front on the waistline, I mark the same 1.5. So at the side front, I mark 1.5 on the under bust and on the waistline, and on the center front, I mark 1 inch. So I'm going to connect all my points together with a straight line, just as you see me mark now. Next is to avoid all those pointy edges that usually occur on the bust point. I'll be coming down from my nipple point by 0.7 inches because she doesn't have a very big bust. Her bust is 36. If it is someone that has a big bust from 40 upwards, you come down by 1 inch. So I'm marking 0.7 inches there. After that, you bring your curve ruler, use the curvy part of it, and connect from the under bust from that 1.5 inches, connect from it to the 0.7 inches you came down from the bust point, just like so. Here I use the curvy part of my ruler to connect for the side front, but for this center front now I'm going to use the not so curvy part of my ruler and connect from the 0.7 inches I came down from the bust point to the 1 inch I came out on the under bust line, just like you see me mark now. After that, the next thing is to determine where you want your tube to start from. The chest line, you can come down from the shoulder or come up from the chest line, is all your choice. If you want, you can come up by 1 inch 3 inches from the chest line, but for me I'm going to be coming up from my chest line by 2 inches, and after I'm going to outline it this way and it becomes my new chest line. Next is to mark the same bust span on my new chest line 4 inches, and I'm going to connect it with a straight line to the initial bust span I marked. The next thing is to mark out my dart for the upper bust tightening, and I'm going to mark out 1 inch on both sides just this way, and I'll use my curve ruler and use the not so curvy part of it and connect from that 1 inch to the bust point. I'll do the same thing to the other side. Next is to mark out my round body measurement. I'm going to place my tape on my chest line and divide my round bust into 4. 30 divided by 4 is 9. That is what I'm marking right now. And that 2 inches I took at the upper part for the upper bust tightening, I'm going to replace it. Any dart you take out, remember to replace it. I marked the 2 inches I took out, and I'm also going to mark out 2 inches for my sewing allowance. The next is the round underbust. Round underbust is 34. 34 divided by 4 is 8.5. That is what I'm going to mark right now. I marked 8.5, and I'm going to replace the dart I took out. The total of that I took out is 2.5 inches. I'm going to replace it there, and I'm now going to mark the 2 inches sewing allowance. Next is the waist. Her round waist is 35. Divided by 4 is 8.7. That is what I just marked. And replacing the 2.5 inches that I took. And I'm also going to mark the sewing allowance. After that, I'm going to connect all my points together just this way. Because this is a tube, the armhole is not needed, so we are going to be eliminating it. I'm going to bring my curve ruler this way, and I'll connect from that upper part towards the armhole just like so. Connect from the upper part into the armhole just like so and blend it. This is it. This is how to eliminate it. Then for the center front, if you want, you can leave it straight, but I want a slice sweetheart. That is what my client wants, so you can feel free to style your center front the way you like. This is where I want my own to be, so I place my curve ruler and connected it just like so. You can make it more deeper if you want. So this is how to make a tube bustier. Just connect from the upper part just slightly into the armhole, and the armhole is thereby eliminated. Next, all these parts you see me shading now will be cut out. The dart area, the upper part, I only use the upper part for explanation so that you will understand it better. It's not actually needed. Our front part is ready. The next thing now is to cut it out. And while we are done, this is what we have. This is it. The next thing now is to head over and cut the back. The pattern I'm going to use for the back, I've marked some lines and I'm going to explain it. This line at the upper part now is my starting point, my starting line, my chest line, and this line by the side is my zipper allowance area, and I mark 1.5 for the zipper allowance. For the front length and the back length to be exactly the same, the easiest way to go about it is to bring the side front which we drafted and place it on top of the back we want to draft just this way. Make sure that armhole side is placed upon the starting point for the back. Make sure both of them are matching each other just the way. Just place it like this. Make sure it's matching. Then after that, the next thing is to align it properly and come to the down part of it and place a mark there. place a mark there and remove it. Then measure what you have from that start point. I have 9.2 here, and I'm going to measure the 9.2 all through. The 9.2, I'm going to measure it all through, and I've marked out a line after measuring it, and this becomes the length of my back. After, if you do it this way, the length of the front and the back will be exactly the same. After that, the next thing to do is to mark our round bust on that starting line, which is our chest line. You start from that line you mark for the zip, not from the edge of the paper, but from the line you mark for the zip. That is where you are going to start from. Then her round bust divided by 4 is 9. That is what I'm marking right here, and I'm going to mark 2 inches for my sewing allowance. The same sewing allowance I added from the front is what I'm going to add for the back. Next is to mark my client's round waist divided by 4 on the waist length, on the back length. But before that, I want to mark the darts and eliminate it, because I don't want the back to have darts. So I'm going to mark the dart here and eliminate it. So I'm going to mark the bust span, the 4 inches I mark at the front. Her bust span, which is 4 inches, I'm going to mark it here. After marking it at that waist length, I'm also going to mark it at the upper part this way, the 4 inches, and after that I'm going to connect with a straight line from up to down. Then after that, on that waist length, I'm going to mark ½ inch on both sides, taking a total of 1 inch dart. Next, I'm going to use my straight ruler and connect to the upper part just like so. I'll do the same thing to both sides, and after marking it, I'm going to close it up and use my masking tape to hold it. I'm going to close the dart before marking my round waist divided by 4. This is it. Here I'm done closing it using my masking tape to hold it. The next thing now is to mark out my round waist. Her round waist is 35 divided by 4 is 8.7. That is what I just marked, and I'm going to add the same 2 inches for sewing allowance, and I'm going to connect the line from the upper part to the down part just like so. Next thing now is to cut out this down part first. I will cut the down part and the side. Then after that, to eliminate that zipper bulge that usually occur at the back, this is how to go about it. At that waist length, you are going to come in by ½ inch at that waistline and connect it with a slanted line, just like a dart, slanted line towards the upper part, just this way. You see how I placed my ruler, and I'm going to cut it out. If you do it this way, you have already eliminated the zipper bulge that will occur at the back. Next is to cut out that upper part, and our back is almost done. And after cutting that upper part, if you want, you can leave your back like this straight. It's all good, it's all your choice, but I'm going to be curving my back a bit. I wanted to curve it, but I later changed my mind. I will just make it slanted. At that back part, that center back, I came down by 1 inch and I connected with a slanted line towards the side, just like you see me place my ruler. I came down at the center back by 1 inch and I connected with a slanted line towards the side, just like so, and I'm cutting it out. You can leave your own straight if you want, it's all your choice. And here I'm done drafting. This is the side front, center front, and the back. And while cutting, the next thing now is to cut it on our fabric. While cutting, I'm going to be adding ½ inch at this upper part, all the other upper part and the down part. I'm going to be adding ½ inch at the upper part and the down part for turning with the lining at the upper part and joining to the down part of the skirt, because I'm actually using this to make a gown. So I'm going to go and cut it on the fabric now. And after cutting on our fabric, this is what we have. I've added ½ inch at the upper part and at the down part as I explained. This is it. So the next thing now is to start joining all our pieces together. I've also cut for the lining because I want to use the fabric for the lining too. So for this center front now, I cut it to one for the one for the main bodice and one for lining. This is it, two of it. You can see it, and the center front is unfold. Then for the side front, I cut it 4, 2 for the main bodies and 2 for the lining. And for the bag, my material was already exhausted, so I used another fabric for the lining. The first one we are going to start with now is our bustier. Yes, I've gone ahead to cut my wadding, and as you can see, my wadding did not get to the upper part. It's ½ inch. It stopped at ½ inch before the upper part, because that upper part will be used for turning with lining. And my wadding stop at the under bust. I have so many videos on how to part a bustier. Do well to check it out. So the first thing we are going to do now is to iron our wadding to the fabric. You can either iron it, sew it down, whichever way, or gum it. So I'm going to iron it down, and after ironing it down, I'm going to join one side to the other, and I will show us the way to go about it. This is what you do. After ironing your wadding onto your fabric or sewing it, whichever way you used to held the wadding to it, then you raise it this way. Make sure you notch your bust point and your under bust before removing the pattern from it. Then you sew with ½ inch from up to down. Make sure the bust points are matching each other, that the under bust are matching each other, and sew with ½ inch from up to down. If you follow this process, you can use a pin to hold the bust point and the under bust, and sew with ½ inch from the upper part to the down part. If you did this way, your bustier is going to come out very fine. Let's go over to the machine and sew. Then I'm going to do the same to the lining. This is the fabric I cut for the lining. I'm going to go and join it the same way. See, I notched the bust point. See what I was trying to explain? I notched the bust point before removing it, and I also notched the under bust. So you are going to match the bust point and the under bust and use ½ inch to sew it down. I'm going to do the same thing I do for the main bodies for the lining. And here I'm done padding my bustier, and this is what it looks like at the right side. And when you turn it over to the wrong side, this is it. And I've also gone ahead to press open the seam. Yeah, after padding your bustier, press open the seam so that it will curve very well. This is it. So the next thing now is to attach the sleeve. Yes, I'm going to be attaching the sleeve before turning with lining. I'm going to show us the way to go about it. This is the fabric I cut that I'm going to use for the sleeve. It's unfold. I've sewn it and torn it out, and the width is 9 inches. It's unfold. Then for the length, this is how to know how to get the length that you are going to cut out. This is it. You place your tape this way. Her under bust is 13.5, so I placed that 13.5 as her under bust, and when I placed it, place it this way. Her under bust right on that under bust, and check where the top started from. It is 6 inches. So what it means is that the strap at that upper part is going to be 6 inches. So 6 times 2 for the front and the back is going to be 12. But I cut 13 inches for the half inches I'm going to use to turn it with lining. So the length of the sleeve I cut is 13 inches, and the width unfold is 9 inches. This is it here, the length. Then the next thing is to place your tape this way and measure your round bust, and measure the round bust divided by 2. My client's round bust is 30, divided by 2 is 18, and that is what I'm going to mark here. And after marking my client round bust, I'm going to check what that is remaining here, and what I have is 4 divided by 2 is 2 inches. So I'm going to mark 2 as that extreme. The 4 that is remaining that I divided into 2, and I'm going to mark the same 2 at this extreme, and this is the sewing allowance I'm going to use to shape it out, the 2 inches. So I'm cleaning the initial line that I marked, and now this is how to go about where you attach the sleeve. This is the next thing you do. From this center front here, I'm going to be coming out by 5 inches from this center front and place a mark, and I will do the same to the other side. Come out from the center front and place a mark. And after coming out from the center front by 5 inches on both sides to place a mark, the next thing you will do now, for you to know where you pleat your sleeve from that 2 inches sewing allowance we marked, I'm going to be coming in again by 1 inch. From that 2 inches we marked out for the sewing allowance, I'm going to mark 1 inch inwards, meaning that from that 5 inches I came out from that center front, I will pleat all the way and stop 1 inch before the 2 inches sewing allowance. This is it. I'm marking 1 inch from away from that 2 inches sewing allowance. So our pleat will start from that 5 inches we came out from the center front. Our pleat will start from the 5 inches we came out from the center front, and I will pleat all the way to the 1 inch. I'll pleat all the way to the 1 inch before my 2 inches sewing allowance. My pleat is not going to get to my sewing allowance. I don't want the pleat to get to this. I want a little bit allowance there. So I'm going to pleat. If I want to pleat the sleeve now, I'll start from that 5 inches I came out from the center front and pleat all the way to the 1 inch before the sewing allowance. And I'm going to mark the same thing at the underside. I'm going to, from that 2 inches for sewing allowance, I'm going to come in by 1 inch and start my pleat from the 5 inch I came out from the center front and stop at 1 inch. And this is how to go about the pleating. I'm going to pleat from here all the way. I'm going to pleat all the way. You can gather, you can pleat anyhow you want. You see, I'm going to pleat from here to the 1 inch before the sewing allowance. This is the way to go about. I'm going to use a pin and hold it and show us what I mean. After gathering it with pin, this is it. I started from that 5 inch and stopped at 1 inch before the sewing allowance, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. But before we do the same thing to the other side, we are going to attach that pleated design in front first before putting the second sleeve, because that is that exact place that the design will be is the exact place the sleeve will be. So we are going to attach that front design first, and this is how to prepare that design that we are going to attach. So before we put our sleeve here, we are going to put the design first. This is the fabric I call that I'm going to use for that pleated design in front, and the length is the length of that front length, that top length, the length of it plus extra 6 to 7 inches. That is what I use. It is better not to cut the exact length of your top because it's going to be slanted. If you cut it the exact way, you are going to have shortage of fabric while pleating it. So it's better you have excess that you can cut out after joining. Then for the width is 11.5 and is on fold. I folded it and sewed it out and turned to the right side, so it's on fold, and the width is 11.5 inches. So this is the way to go about it. We are going to measure 1.5 inches here. You're going to mark 1.5 inch, and you are going to mark it all through this upper part, all through. And after marking for the other upper part, you are going to come down to the down part and mark the same 1.5 inches all through the down part. Then after marking the 1.5 on the upper part and the down part, the next thing you do is to pick the chalked parts, one chalked part like this, and placed on top of the other chalked parts. Just this way, this chalk points here, you raise it up and place it on top of the other, and use a pin to hold it. Use a pin to hold it. Then you do the same thing. Whatever you do at the upper part, you do it to the down part. Pick the chalk part and place on the other chalk part this way. I'm still going to iron it out because it's a very strong fabric. This is what it's going to look like at the end of the day when you iron it flat. This is how it's going to look like when you iron it out. So I'm going to use a pin to pin up that center so that it will relax very well. And this is what you do across all of them. You raise one chalk part, put on top of the other. I'm doing the down part right now, and after pinning it, I'm going to come up here and do for the upper part. I'm going to pick this chalk part and do and place on top of this other chalk part, just this way. It's just very simple. And pin it up like so. This is it. The fabric is not relaxing because I've not ironed it, but I'm going to iron it out and it will lay flat. Here I'm using a pin to hold it so that it will stay in one place so that I can pin it properly. This is it. I'm also going to use a pin to hold the center of this one too, so that this is it. You see, just now that I used a pin to hold it at that center, see how relaxed it came about. So I'm going to pin the second one like this again, and I'm going to pleat the rest of it and show us what it looks like when I'm done. When I'm done pleating all of them, this is what we have. This is what it looks like. So the next thing now is go to iron it flat and show us what it looks like. Here I'm done ironing the pleated design, as you can see, and it has laid flat, and I've removed that center pin. So we have to introduce back our front bodice, and this is how to place that design on it. On that space we made for the sleeve, from this to the 1 inch before the sewing allowance, that space we made where we'll gather our sleeve, that is the exact way we are going to gather it. We are going to gather it and make sure that everything enters into that space we made for our sleeve. And after sewing it at that upper part, you will slant it. You slant it in front, just like the design on the thumbnail. This is the way to go about it. After pleating it at that upper part, then you have to slant it this way and sew at the down part and cut out the excesses. I'll sew it and cut out the excesses and show us what it looks like. And after gathering it at that upper part and sewing it down, and I slanted it and held at the down part, this is what it looks like. So it's better you have excess. After sewing, you cut it out and run shortage of fabric. So the next thing now is to attach our sleeve. That exact place we attach the front design is where we are going to attach our sleeve. We're also going to gather our sleeve right there. We are going to gather our sleeve right there. This is how I'm pinning it up. I'm gathering it and pinning it up. I will do it the exact way we did for the first one, just on top of that pleated design. That is where we are going to gather our sleeve on. And this is what it will look like after gathering and turning it out. So I'm going to use a pin now, hold it down and show us. Here I'm done pinning it, and I'm going to sew it now on the machine and show us. And after sewing it, this is what it looks like. I'm done sewing for the both sleeve, and when you open it up, this is what it all looks like. Both of them is to turn with lining, so you have to turn your sleeve back this way again and introduce your lining and place your lining right side facing each other, just like you see me placing it. Turn back your sleeve inside and place everything will be inside, and place your lining and sew on that upper part with the 1/2 inch allowance we added. Sew from one end to the other. Place a notch because it's a curvy area, and top stitch it and turn it out. In the upper part and notching it, I will just turn it out and hold the side and the down part. I'm not going to turn the side or the down part. I'll just turn it out after sewing the upper part and hold it down. And after turning it out, this is what it looks like. I'm done turning out my front bodice with lining, and this is what it looks like. This is it at the wrong side. This is the wrong side of it. You see, the neckline is neatly turned and the sleeve is now out, and I just held down the side and the down part. So the next thing now is for us to work at the back. This is one part of the back. You are going to work with one part first. So I've gone ahead to mark the zipper allowance area so that I'll be able to illustrate it and explain it properly. I've gone ahead to mark the zipper allowance line so that I can explain it well. Here, the first thing we are going to do, from that zipper allowance line, I'm going to divide my round bust, my client round bust by 4, and what I got is 9. I'm going to mark the 9 here. So the excess that is remaining is the sewing allowance, the excess that is remaining. Because I'm dividing the back by 4 because the back is 2 piece. Next thing I'll do is, from that zip allowance line again, I'm going to mark 5 inches from that zipper allowance area, just like we did for the center front. We came in by 5 inch from the center front. The exact thing is what I'm going to do at that back. So from that zipper allowance line at the back, I'm going to mark 5 inches, just like you see me do now. And after that, I'm going to, from that allowance area, I'm going to come in again by 1 inch, just like we did for the front. I don't want the pleat to get to the sewing allowance area, so I will stop my pleat 1 inch before the sewing allowance area. So my pleat is going to start from this 5 inch all through the way to the 1 inch here. This is where I'm going to pleat the back sleeve. And this is the way to go about it. Introduce back your front bodice. After introducing back the front bodice, then you place it right side facing each other. Make sure that the zipper allowance area is at the center. Then after placing it right side facing each other and matching the zipper allowance area at the center, this is what it will look like. This is what we have, and this is the space we made for the pleat. Look at it here. Look at the space we made for this, for the pleat. That place we marked. Look at it here. So the next thing now to do is to pick up your sleeve this way. You pick up the sleeve this way, just like you see me do now. The sleeve is just this way. Then you pick it up, raise it up this way, and we are going to pleat it, everything inside that space we marked for it. We are going to pleat everything inside just this way. We're going to pleat it just this way, as you see me do now. I'm going to use a pin and hold it and show us. And after pinning it, this is what we have. I only use the pin to hold it, gather it and hold it. And as you can see, I stop at 1 inch before the sewing allowance. I did not pin to the sewing allowance. I stop at 1 inch before the sewing allowance. And this is what it will look like. This is what our sleeve will look like. The front and the back, this is it. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, to the other back, just this way. And I'm going to sew it down at the machine and remove the pin. This is it. I'm going to sew it down and remove the pin, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other side and show us when I'm done. And just like I've explained earlier, I'm done sewing both back sleeve. This is it. I'm done gathering it, sewing it down and remove the pin. This is what it looks like. I'm done with both sleeves. So the next thing to do now is to turn our back with lining, and this is the way to go about it. This is the fabric I want to use for the lining, this black fabric. For you to be able to turn the back with lining, this is what you do. Make sure both right side are facing each other. And after that, this is what you hold it at the upper part this way and raise it up this way and make it to be like this. Let me come again. Right side will be facing each other, and you are going to hold it at the upper part just this way. Raise it up at the upper part this way. After raising it up, then you push the front bodies away from it just this way. This is what it will look like. The right side will be facing upwards. Then you place your lining on top of it just this way. Place your lining on top of it. make sure the lining is placed on the right side. Then you sew at the upper part, at that chest area, you sew on it. After sewing it, then you turn it out and hold the side and the down part. That is what you do. That is the way to go about turning it. So after turning it this way, place your lining, sew on the upper part. After placing your lining this way, sew on the upper part, and after sewing on the upper part, you turn it out. You turn it out before sewing the side and the down part. So let me go over to the machine and sew it and show us what I'm talking about. And after turning the back with lining, this is it. This is that chest area. See how neat it is. And I also turn it out and held the sides and the down part. I've done the same thing to both of them. See how neat it is. I've also done the same thing to the other side. So the next thing I want to do now is I want to hold the zipper allowance area with the 1.5 inches allowance we added, because I want to shape both front and back before attaching it to the down part. So I want to sew the zipper allowance area with a loose stitch. I'm still going to open it to attach my zip. So I'm going to hold it now, and okay, I'm done sewing the zipper allowance area with a loose stitch that I'm still going to open up. And I've also gone ahead to pin both front and back with a pin, so that I will be able to mark out my client's round body measurement before shaping it out. So the next thing now is to mark out my client's round body divided by 2, so that we can shape it out. Here I'm marking my client's round body measurement divided by 2, her bust, her round bust divided by 2, her round under bust divided by 2, and her round waist divided by 2. And I'm going to shape it out. I'm going to sew on this line now that I just marked. I'm going to sew on this line from the chest to the waist area. I'm going to shape it out and show us what we have. And here I'm done shaping the side. As you can see, this is it at the front side, and when you turn it out at the right side, this is it. This is the back, and this is that space at the armhole area. You see, we did not pleat our sleeve to the sewing allowance. That is that space that is left there. This is it at the back, and when you turn it to the right, this is what it looks like. This is the right side. So the next thing now is to attach it to the skirt part. We are done with the upper part. I'm going to open the waist area at the side like this, and from there I'm going to attach it to the skirt part. This is it, and this is the skirt that I'm going to attach it to from the waist. I'll attach it there, and here I'm done attaching it, and I've attach the zip. See the zip at the back. The next thing now is to place it on the mannequin for us to see what the finished look of the dress looks like. And here is it on the mannequin. Look at our sleeve. Look at that pleated design in front. See how beautiful it is. Look at it here. See how fine it is. We have come to the end of this tutorial. If you found any value for this class, please let me know in the comment section. I'll be very glad to hear your thoughts, what you think about the video. And if at this point you have not subscribed, please do well to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell beside it, so that you will be the very first person to get notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you very much, and see you again in my next video. Bye. And please give it a thumbs up. That is the only way other people will benefit from it. Give it a thumbs up, please, I beg you. See you again in my next video. Bye.